hi there, Algebra. Welcome to the flipped lesson on dividing polynomials. This is when you first do it, I think this is a little bit of a confusing concept, so I wanted to explain it tonight and have you look it over, and then we'll practice it tomorrow. If you think about dividing polynomials, I think it's best to start with kind of just dividing regular numbers. We're used to doing long division. You guys have done that since, third grade or something like that. And kind of remember how we do it. So let's say we had 168 divided by 4. Okay? That might be a little too easy. Let's do 168 divided by 5. So remember that we put the thing we're dividing inside, what we're dividing by outside. We see if the 5 will go into the 1. It won't. So we kind of put a 0, but we don't usually even put that there. We just kind of leave it. Then we try if 5 will go into 16, and it will. And it'll go in 3 times, correct? So you put a 3 over the place value that you can divide into. 3. Then we multiply back. 3 times 5, 15. And then we subtract. You get a 1 that comes down. Then what do we do next? This is taking you back, kind of reminding you what it was like to learn this the first time. You subtract that, the 1 comes down, and then you bring down this place value right alongside of it. And you have 18. 5 goes into 18, again 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. Subtract, and you get a 3. And then if you wanted to keep going on and do decimals, then of course you could add a 0.0 and bring the 0 down. But if you want to just leave the remainder as a fraction, of course you just take this and you put it over that. So it's 33 and 3/5. How was that? Did it kind of take you back in the Wayback Machine? All right. So now we're going to do the same thing. It's going to look a little more complicated. And I have to say that this is kind of only an analogy. It's kind of giving you the form that you're going to use, although it's not going to be an exact way of doing it. So let's say we had a polynomial like this. X squared plus x plus 3. And we were going to divide that by x. Okay, so we set it up the same way that we did before. The thing we're dividing here, what we're dividing by is here. We go to the first place and we think, okay, is there anything I can multiply x by to give you x squared? Think about it for a second. Of course, we can multiply by x. And when we go x times x, we get x squared. So what do you think we do next? Just like in long division, we subtract. That goes away. So now we bring down the next thing. X is here. So what can we multiply that by to give you x? Well, of course, we multiply by 1. 1 times x is x. We subtract that, it goes away. We bring down the next thing, which is a 3. Is there anything we multiply by x to give you 3? There's not. So that's going to be our remainder. Our remainder is going to be 3 over x, just kind of like we did in the long division case. So x plus 1 plus 3 over x is the division of this term divided by x. Okay, does that make sense? That's a monomial. That's a trinomial in this case divided by a monomial. This, I think, should be fairly straightforward. It gets a little more confusing when we do a binomial divided into it. Let's try that case. What if we had, let's say, x cubed plus 3x squared plus 4x minus 1, and we divide that by x plus 1. Why don't I stop and use the same kind of reasoning that I've just been doing with kind of the analogy with long division. We've done a case where there's a little simpler term here, but now you've got a binomial. Why don't you just try it out, see what trouble you can get into, and then I'll come back and I'll show you on the board how to do it, and then tomorrow again we'll practice this some more. Okay, so I'll stop. I'm just going to kind of relax here and think deep thoughts. You go right ahead. Go. Well, let's try it together. First thing, is there anything I can multiply here and multiply that to get this back? No, because anytime I multiply anything times two terms, I'm going to get two terms back, so it's never going to be there. If I go to this place, is there anything I can multiply from this spot and multiply both of those and get this back? Well, I might not be able to get the whole thing back, but I can at least get rid of the first term. And so what I'm going to multiply here is by x. No, sorry. I'm going to multiply by x squared. And let me show you why. Let's try it. X squared times x gives you x cubed. And x squared times positive 1 gives you x squared. Well, that takes care of at least one of our numbers here. So when we subtract, this is going to go away, and 3x squared minus x squared gives you 2x squared. So we've made it a little more simple. What do you think we do next? Again, just like long division, we bring down the next term, plus 4x. And then I think to myself, is there anything I can multiply here in this place, multiply by that, and at least match up with this first number? Well, there is. If I multiply by 2x, do you see that when I multiply 2x times x, I'm going to get 2x squared? And when I multiply 2x times 1, I'm going to get 2x. When I subtract, this is going to go away, which is really what I desire. And then 4x minus 2x leaves me 2x. Last step, I bring down the last one here, minus 1. And again, I go back to this place and I think, what can I multiply by that that's going to at least match up with the first term here? Well, if I multiply by a 2, 2 times x, 2x, 2 times 1, positive 2. Subtract, that goes away. That gives me negative 3. Now, what do I do with that? That, of course, goes over that. So, negative 3 over x plus 1 will be my remainder. It doesn't really matter where the negative sign goes. It can go with 3 or the bottom. Usually I put it right out in front there. Okay, so your answer would be x squared plus 2x plus 2 minus 3 over x plus 1. So how'd you do when you tried it? Okay, so don't stress about it. I want you to kind of go back, watch this one more time, take notes, and then tomorrow we're going to do just a bunch of practice till you feel real confident in it. Okay? All right, I'm out.